We Harry Game Lords are playing Haunticulture from Tinkerbot. What did we think? Find out! So, Haunticulture. What are you going to be doing in Haunticulture? You're going to be farming with your ghosts and ghoulies. Here's a zombie. He's great for grabbing up the vegetables. Here's a ghoul. Here's a skeleton. Gotta say, I quite like the artwork in this. I think there's some good character in it. I think there's some really funny things going on as well. My favourite is this mummy here. So because it's gardening themed, he's a mole. I like that. There's quite a lot of creativity going into it. So you got a werewolf, everything gardening themed, the ghoul apprentice. There's the rag and bone skeleton. There's the boss zombie. Now, one of the things I'll highlight with this one is, as you're going to be playing these cards, you're going to be getting different abilities. So the boss zombie, I really like this one because the zombies are pretty pants. But as you're playing down your boss zombie with them as well, you're boosting the strength of your zombies. Why would you want to do that though? So as you are gardening, you're trying to fill up your garden plot with all of these little crops that you can gather from the middle. I'll let Pete explain that because it's complicated. But at the end of the day, you're trying to satisfy different garden conditions. You've got pumpkins. Pumpkins you want to put in rectangular blocks. You've got these gloomy blooms, which is worth a straight 2 points. Doesn't matter where you put those. You've got the evil eyeballs, which you want to keep in straight lines. You want to get more of them to get more points. You've got the moonflowers, which is a little bit like a cauliflower, but I wouldn't want to eat it. And then you've got the blood orange, which wants to be surrounded by different types of things. So it's a little bit of a kind of like Tetrisy feel to it when you're putting your things down. You're trying to maximize your garden. There are some landmarks which you can throw in. I'm not going to explain those just yet because then somebody else has something to say. But at the end of this game, it's the person who's got the most impressive garden that wins. Now, did I like this game? First of all, I wasn't sure what I was going to think. You've got a grid laid out with all of these kind of things, and it felt a little bit fiddly at first, but actually it worked nicely with placing the different tiles onto your garden, so I got that. The thing that I lost it with in this game is very tight. You've only got 4 rounds. We played a 4-player game, so we had one turn being first player each came back to us. And you've got to do a lot in that little amount of game. 60 minutes, which is actually pretty accurate. We hit 60 minutes. This is actually a strange thing for the Hairy Game Lords to play a game in the target time. So accurate timing on the books if you're a slow gaming group like ourselves. The thing that I was like, stressed out by in this game was I had a plan. And I was planning to get these eye ones in a straight line so I could get loads of points. It just really didn't happen. And halfway through, I was actually, I don't know, disenchanted with the game because I was like, I'm stuffed. Everybody else is doing really well. Dave's garden looks incredible. And I just ripped myself out of it. But the thing about this game that I didn't expect was that I could turn it around. You can switch the strategies halfway through, and based on what you pull into your garden, you can actually really boost your points in the end game. And I ended up being picked to the post for first place because of a tie condition with Martin. So, so I actually really liked the way that this game is tight, but manageable. For a buffoon such as myself. So yeah, if you like a tight game, this might be one for you.
Hi there, it's Pete the Hipster King with my thoughts on Haunticulture. So basically, you've got there's a number of different mechanics going on in this game. One heart of the game, you've got a very simple deck builder. You're going to be playing 4 rounds, so you haven't got a huge amount of time to build that deck. You start with 6 cards. You're going to be laying 3 cards each round. and then on your third round, you're going to get all your cards back into your hand. But you obviously may have bought some new cards and got rid and burnt some cards to bring those into your deck. So you can power up your deck so you have a more powerful deck as the game goes through. You're then going to be using your deck. You're going to be placing that, as James said, you're going to be placing your workers out onto a grid. Why are you doing that? Well, at the top and bottom of each column and at both sides of the row, you've got these garden tiles. And they have got either plants on them that James talked about, or they've got ornaments. The 3 ornaments that you can get, the other things are the simplest one, which is the urn. Place an urn into your garden. It's going to cost you £2 to build an urn if you like. £2. 2 of these gold skulls here. And anything placed on that, it doubles the score, doubles the points for that individual tile that you've placed. So that's a nice little earner and a number of...
That's what they call an urn.
Beautiful. And a couple of the guys use that to really good effect. You've got the gnome, which is it's a multiplier bonus. And then basically you're turning your gold into victory points. So if you can manage to get 10 gold and buy your 4th gnome, you're getting 15 victory points for that gnome. So you've got some big points there available.
We're all gnome haters.
Yes, none of us, a few of us got the gnomes, but not many. And then the final one, which is it's a real beaut, 20 victory points for 8 gold coins. But you have to get all 4 parts of the fountain, and 3 of us went for it, and none of us got it. So we had one with I think 2 of us had 2, and I think Dave had 3. And that's a lot, you spent a lot of money not to get the thing. But basically, you're playing those cards out onto that grid. So you're playing your workers onto the grid, and they've got some points. So if I manage to place those 2 together in a row, I've got 4 points on that row. Now, depending what other people place, 4 points might be the most on that row. If I have the most at the end on that row, I'm going to get to choose whichever one of the flowers or ornaments that I want from either end. I get to choose the left end or the right end, whichever I want most. And the person who's second gets the other one. And if there's anybody else on that row, they're going to get a gold coin. The same happens on the rows. So at the end of it, once all the cards, you've played your 3 cards each and you've filled the grid, vertically does exactly the same thing. If you're the most prolific gardener on that row, most skillful gardeners, you get the choice of the tiles that you want. So you've got deck building, you've got sort of placement of it's not worker placement, but you're playing your cards onto that grid, and then you've got a tile placement game. So there's lots of little nice mechanics going on here. You've got set collection in terms of the tiles that you're working on. So lots of different mechanics that work really neatly together. I think the thing that really got under my skin tonight, but that's not because it's not in a negative way, just one of those things where there was a lot of interaction tonight. There were a lot of times where you block somebody. None of that blocking, I don't think tonight, was deliberate. There are games when we definitely do that, but tonight it was just that thing of somebody places a card down in a space and it's just not the right card, or it throws you for what you'd got to do. So I'd got a card left, right until the end, which meant that I could basically use somebody else's ability. And I just needed one person on the grid to have put a blooming dig down to remove a coin, which would allow me to then build a really nice diagonal line.
Can we dig
Would anybody dig? The person before me, Martin, had got 2 cards with dig on. He looked at a card to buy that had got a dig on as well. So I had 3 chances, and he chose to play neither and bought another card that didn't have dig on. And that cost me about 10 points, which wouldn't have made the difference in the game to me, but would have been a much sweeter finish. And you got that. So there is that kind of interaction for those that like it. It is thinky. It's not ridiculously thinky. So for what looks like a really light family weight game, there's plenty of thinking going on And that, you know, bearing in mind, you know, that hour, it was an hour game for basically a 4-player, quite simple, you know, a relatively sort of mid-weight game. I really enjoyed it. So when you get a chance to, take a look at this on the Kickstarter and check it out.
Hi, Dave the Grey. Now, this game has got a lot of things going on. You've got set collection, you've got deck building, you've got, what was the other one?
Zombies! Tile placement.
You've got tile placement. I did none of these things very well. Some you win, some you lose. Tonight, I lost. I don't think I did as bad as Pete, though. So, no, you know.
I had a pretty
yeah, I'll take that as a win. Yeah, things that I didn't do very well. The fountain. You need to collect, over the course of 4 rounds, you need to collect 4 pieces of fountain to get loads of points. I got 3. That was very annoying. And to be honest, I got 3, I think, within the first 2 rounds. Didn't see another fountain for the rest of the game, obviously. Gnomes. The more gnomes you get, the more points you get. I got 1. Woohoo! 1 point. Nice. Urns. If you plant stuff in an urn, you get double victory points. That took my victory points from 1 to 2. And you also, and this is quite cool, everybody gets a secret objective, which can earn you up to 12 points. I got my 12 points. Hey! I was very pleased with myself. Everybody else got 12 points as well, apart from James, but
and kind of me.
So yeah, my 12 points didn't actually get me any further ahead. So yeah, I was very much, I beat Pete. That counts as a win in any game, really. But there aren't that many games where there's quite a lot of thinking to do, and it only takes an hour. So that's a definite plus for this. It's not a lightweight party game, which is your normal, we've got an hour to play a game, what shall we play? There was actually quite a lot of thinking going on about where you're placing stuff in your garden is really important for your points, and where you're putting your different monsters in the grid is really important, because what you don't want to do is come second in one which has got nasty stuff or stuff that you can't afford. So sometimes it's actually better to just not be involved or come last in one area of the grid. And I did that pretty well. Not winning grids, that is. But no, thoroughly enjoyable. Not massively heavyweight. Not massively lightweight. It's sort of that middle of the road. An hour to play. Something that's going to get the old grey cells whirring. Give it a try. See what you reckon. Zombies, monsters, digging stuff up. What's not to love, really?
I won.